Hello, everybody, and welcome to TV Gold. Oh my God, this is such a nostalgic day for me today because I have a very special guest who I'm honored to introduce. And I just want to start talking to him right now, so I'm not even going to talk anymore about that. I just want to introduce my lovely guest today. Please help me welcome Mr. Johnny Sialiano, as everybody knows, Goumba Johnny. Goumba Johnny. Goumba Johnny in the house. We are clapping for Goumba Johnny.
I can't
My
believe
studio audience of one person. Hello, Danielle.
I can't believe you actually pronounced my last name right.
Well, I did my homework, Johnny. What do you think? What do you think?
People don't get it.
Yeah, they don't get it. I told you, this is TV Gold. Johnny, welcome to TV Gold. So welcome to TV Gold.
So far, very professional.
And I think that's the beauty of podcasts. The rules are you make your own rules. It's not like the radio where it's we're just chilling. If you need a pee break, we'll break for pee. Normal people pee.
No, I get it.
Normal people pee. So anyway, yes, very nostalgic day for me. I introduced him. I pronounced his name right, Mr. Johnny Boy. Johnny Boy, as his mother calls him, Sialiano. And I wanted to make sure I didn't mess that up because, when I first read it, it was Siciliano. And then it's a Sia before the Lano.
It's the real name is Siciliano. When they came over, they misspelled it.
They misspelled it, and it reads Sialiano.
Yes.
But I was happy that I met you and I had a social interaction with you before I vetted you out or read anything about you, because I just wanted it to be really natural and organic. I wanted you to know me with no precedence and vice versa. But I don't know if you remember when you were leaving, you were read my bio. Oh, I read your bio, honey. Oh, I read it. There was a couple of things that I found out about you that you left out of your bio that you should add that I think is so iconic and makes you who you are today.
I don't know about that.
I vetted you out on YouTube. I tried to find you on Wikipedia. You're not on Wikipedia, by the way. We need to change that. No, I'm not.
And I'm very proud of that.
You are?
Yeah.
But listen, you're a G, dude. No pun intended, Goumba Johnny. Goumba Johnny the G.
Yes.
Which means gangsta. You're a gangsta. You're a real G.
I have a hat. My wife laughs at me when I put it on.
What does it say, the real G?
No, it just has a G on it. So
do you know? I didn't even know that. And that's cosmetic, because I just called you a G, because I was talking to you this morning about my son. I'm like, he's a real G. This guy's a fucking legend.
Yeah, I have the hat. I wear it.
And you have a hat that says G. Oh my God, I'm a genius. That also starts with G. Well, maybe I'm a G too. Oh my God, I could be gangsta. We could all be gangsters together. Okay, with a little frilly skirt. All right, so it's so crazy. So before we get into the story of you, which deep diving want to know, I just want to talk about really quick how we met.
All right.
How we met. We met. So I
organically.
Very organically.
You went to a show that I performed with Anthony Rodia. And,
you're a comedian.
I'm a comedian, and you came backstage, and so on and so forth.
I came backstage before the show, and I wanted to say you were such a very special surprise. I didn't realize that he was going to have someone opening for him. I've only been to a few comedy shows, and not everybody has an opener. So I wasn't aware.
It's pretty funny because I've been working with Anthony for 6 years, and I still get that all the time. I had no idea you would be there. But I'm not advertised, so I could see the surprise.
That would makes sense.
Yeah, that would show the surprise.
But it was an amazing, pleasant surprise. And so I'll tell you, we arrived there. Obviously, I interviewed Anthony. I told him that I wanted to come to a show in New Jersey. We had spoke to, I think, the promoter or somebody on his team. They were going to gift us the tickets, but then we wouldn't have pull as to where we would sit. And I want good seats.
Right.
So, and I love supporting the artists. I think it's really important to buy tickets, especially if you're able to. It's so easy to get something for free.
You guys bought tickets? I didn't know that.
I purchased tickets, yes. I purchased tickets. I purchased 5 tickets.
You had good seats.
I had great seats, and I went with Teresa and Louis. I invited them. They were going to gift me 4 tickets. So I was like, let me buy 4 tickets. And then Michelle, my manager, she wanted to come and, maybe see what it was all about. So I got her a ticket. And when we first arrived, we went backstage. And then you were just sitting there, so chill. I didn't even know, I thought you were part of the crew. I didn't know what was going on. You were just sitting there. And then all of a sudden it's I turn around. I'm like, that guy looks so familiar. Like, who is that guy? And then Bill's like, Jen, that's Goumba Johnny. And like, for Bill to say that to me, like, he grew up in Istanbul, Turkey, dude. Like, you know, you know Goumba Johnny? And when he was going to medical school here, New York Med, he went to New York Med. He did his residency, surgical residency at St. Vincent's Hospital in Manhattan. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, tell me.
And, you know, in the mornings, like, that's all they listen to. Like, you are an icon, a legend. But I always knew you from the radio. I didn't know you were a comedian ever. I thought maybe I was like, oh my God, this guy was on the radio. He was, you know, radio personality, probably got a lot of notoriety from that. And I didn't know that you were on the comedy spectrum. And then when we heard you, you were so funny.
Thank you. Comedy is, you know, everybody has, you know, it's like wine. Everybody has their own taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really basically a double headliner show.
It is.
You know what I mean? You know, it's two headliners performing. And Anthony, I don't want to use the word smart, but it does apply here. He had the nerve, you know, the agates to put somebody on in front of him. That's good.
Right.
So in other words, when Anthony comes out, the bar's already here.
It is.
So he knows.
He's confident in his craft.
Well, he can't take a night off.
Yeah.
There's, you know what I mean? And that's the dynamics that work for me and him. Nobody takes a night off. You know what I mean? Because you can't. Because if he takes a night off, you know, people are going to say, hey, you know, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You know, I get to the crowd to a certain level, and then he comes out there and he goes, okay, now we're going in turbo.
Well, I think that's what was such a great surprise of it all.
Yeah.
Like, I knew Anthony was going to be funny. Like, that was a given.
Yeah.
But when there's an opener, you're always like, a little...
Let me go to the bathroom.
All right, this is the opener. All right, we got time before the main event starts.
Let me call the babysitter.
Right. And I think everybody, I mean, we were howling all night. We had such a good time.
I'm glad. And I'm glad you guys came. And it's nice to see that you...
Yes.
You will associate with common people.
Of course. Hello. We all started.
The Real Housewives.
I love it. It's funny because
was out with the commoners.
Yeah, with the peasants.
The peasants.
But
be gone with you.
A good queen always takes care of her peasants and asks them to join the court so we can all be queens together.
I saw you talk to the waitress. Be gone with you. No, and you know what? That's the impression.
Yeah.
That people get, and that's not the reality. And that's what bothers me about reality TV. That is not the reality. I know who you are now. I have a good sense of who you are. Spend the time with you and your husband. And you're a wonderful person. I love your husband to death. And it's sad that it's not, more of that is not shown on your program.
But I believe in divine timing.
Right.
I believe fame is fickle anyway. So no matter what it is you do, whether you're putting your life out there on the line or on blast, whether it's reality TV or a radio personality, I mean, I'm sure you've had your own fair share of constructive criticism, if not hate.
Oh,
you know, we all get it. And when I see that, you know, I could sit there and sometimes I say I feel bad when I see that. And I don't say that actually because all of that hate, all of that is part of our story.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to let it deter us. We're supposed to let it fuel us. So the more people who hate on me, those are the people I want to meet on this journey. I want to shock the shit out of people when they meet me and they go, oh my God, we fucking love her. Bring her back here right now.
Right.
And all in divine timing. Like I said, I believe he fights my battles for me. So I don't need to do any of the work. So don't feel bad for me, boo. They said I was the worst housewife my first season on the show. Like TV Guy did a ranking on Housewives from like best to least, and I think there was like 42 or something around there. Don't quote me on that. And the headline said like Jennifer Aydin dead last as worst housewife, and I was like, really?
You know what? That's great. You know, because I'd rather be dead last than in the middle.
True that. So to that.
Yeah, because you could at least when you're on the bottom, you could say they're dead wrong.
Great minds think alike. So to that point, when that article came out, my son was in high school, my oldest, and he comes home from high school and he looks at me and he's like, Mom, TV Guide? Oh, sorry, Mom. And I was like, you know what, Justin? in life, sometimes people remember the first and they remember the last.
Yeah.
And that last horse that's all the way in the back that you've dismissed, before you know it, he comes up around the corner and no one even know what fucking hit him. So you know what? I'm good. And he looked at me and he's like, that's a great way of looking at it. And I said, it's the only way I can look at it because that's what I truly believe in my core. I'm not the worst housewife. I may not be the best to you, but I'm the best for me because I do my best when I do it.
You do great. I went through that.
I'm me, dude. This is TV Gold, honey.
I went through that. I had a guy that I went to high school with, and we weren't friendly, and we weren't unfriendly. And he says to me, he goes, Jesus Christ. He goes, you're on the radio. You're doing well. I'm happy for you. He goes, I'm really surprised at your success. So I said, well, so am I. You know, you tried to be, nice about it. So am I. He goes, man, I really thought you were a real asshole in high school.
Wow.
And I said, thank you. So he goes, what do you mean, thank you? I said, I would really be upset if you thought I was cool.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Yeah.
He said, thank you. He's like, thank you for what?
I said, if you thought I was cool.
So that's the thing.
I said, it would really bother me.
Yeah.
Because you could be the biggest shithead I've ever met in my life.
Right.
You know?
And for me, like to tell me like I'm the worst housewife, my pride and joy is my family.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of my family. I'm a housewife in every sense of the word. It has nothing to do with being on TV. And like sometimes I get a lot of questions like, how do you have 5 kids? I mean, first you have to have a good sense of humor. That's first, to have a lot of kids. Because I have a lot of patience with them. I think it's very important that I interact with my kids. Right. Yes, could I give them everything they want? Yes, and for the most part, I pretty much do.
Right.
But I will say to that I may spoil my children, but my children are not spoiled, if that makes sense.
And how do you navigate that?
First of all, we keep them grounded. We are God-fearing people. We keep our faith strong in this life. The
kids attend services with you?
They do. And that's one of the things I love about my religion as well as my culture is that we have a very strong community here in Bergen County. We're Syrian Orthodox of faith, which is basically like Greek Orthodox, but it's like Syrian.
I get it.
And people think it's Syrian from Syria, the country. It's not. It's Syriac. The language of our church is spoken in Aramaic, which is the language of Jesus.
Right.
We believe we're the first Christians. Our priests are allowed to get married. You're just not allowed to pass normal priesthood. Like you can't become a patriarch or a bishop if you get married. But our regular priests are allowed to get married, which I think is important. We value the sanctity of marriage. We're committed to the commitment. So divorce, although it is starting now, because, I feel like we're coming into a very selfish realm and it's really hard for people to compromise, but that's another story. We believed in the sanctity of marriage. So Bill and I will do everything we can to make sure that this marriage is a success for our children. My children keep me grounded. I have 5 kids. I'm so lucky. I have boys and girls.
Right.
They're all healthy. They're good kids. I always tell them, if you're out and you get something and your friend doesn't have money, or if your friend doesn't, always pay for your friend. Don't ever make anybody feel less than.
Right.
And I always tell them to be respectful. So I feel like just, having something to believe in that's bigger than yourself is really important.
Right, yeah.
Whatever that may be. You need to believe in something.
When you serve others, you serve yourself.
Yeah, and I always feel like you do good, you get good. But you also in life get what you give. Yeah. So be cognizant of how you're treating people. Now, having said that, if someone want to step up to fuck with you, I mean, you could snap back, honey.
I know.
I do it all the time and sometimes get in trouble for it. But live in your truth.
I wasn't... We don't have children, my wife and I, and that's something that just worked out that way. But what's the difference between raising a boy and a girl?
So as far as the love and attention you give them, I find nothing.
Right, obviously.
Nothing. But you get to experience things with different genders. For example, where I'm from, my in-laws and my parents are both from the villages of Turkey, where having a male as a first child was a huge honor and an accomplishment and luck. So my mother-in-law, when I was a newlywed, I can't believe I'm going to say this story, but when I was a newlywed, she was really adamant about my first child being a boy. A boy was very important to the family name. And you have to have a boy. And my sister-in-law, her first child was a girl. So my mother-in-law gave up on her and said, we just want you to have the boy. So I like felt a lot of pressure to have the boy because I wanted to make my in-laws happy and everything like that. But for them, the boys signified carrying the family name and going into the family business, where back then they were all jewelers.
Right.
So like you know, the more offspring you had, and like the girls ultimately didn't go to work, they stayed at home, and they ultimately only went to school up until fifth grade. They didn't even educate the girls. Like my mother-in-law would sit there and tell me that girls were a burden because in their village, from what they know, the success is them having a good marriage. And if they have a husband that doesn't treat them good, or which, you know, we stay in the marriage no matter what.
Right.
So for my mother, it was always a burden for her worrying about her two daughters, making sure that they're going to have good marriages.
Right.
So my mother-in-law, because of what she had went through with her daughters that had gotten married, was just telling me like, you know, girls are a burden. So I had my first child, which was a boy. And I always wanted a little girl because, you know, I want to do her hair and put bows and get dresses and like cute little shoes, like red shiny shoes. Like you have to have a girl to dress up a girl and you have to have a boy to dress up a boy.
Right.
But I got my boy. And then I'm pregnant with my second child. And my mother-in-law was visiting when we were going for like our 5-month sonogram.
Right.
And like we went and we were told it was a girl, and we were both so happy that it was a girl. But I was like, maybe we shouldn't tell your mother when we get home, because like I feel like she's gonna like blame me.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, Bill's like, he's taught me like there's no reason to ever lie in this life. Like live in your truth. Right. When I came from a house that my mother was gatekeeping and not telling anybody to everybody, it was very refreshing to have my husband say, live in the truth. So we get home and my mother-in-law is in her language, like Aramaic, because her and Bill speak Aramaic. They're like, she's like, so what is it? And I'm just like silent. I just like kind of nonchalantly walk out of the room, and he says in their language, it's a girl. And she's like, you lie. And he's like, no, it's a girl. And she was like, are they sure? And he's like, yeah, Mom, they're sure. And she's like, well, maybe it'll change. And I walk back into the room. I'm like, it doesn't change. They're pretty accurate. She's like, well, maybe they didn't see something. I said, it's the 5-month ultrasound. Like, I think and I didn't want to say anything back anyway, because I was very obedient. I was very respectful. Like, but let Bill do all the talking.
Yeah, it's his mother.
Yeah, and then she would tell me about this girl from the village. So we have this fast that we do. It's the fast of Nineveh. It's the story of Jonah and the whale. Right. Like when Jonah went in the whale, and he didn't eat for 3 days. Yeah. So our fast is not eating anything for 3 days. Monday, Tuesday, and then like Wednesday till sundown.
Certain time of year?
Certain time of year. It's like the Feast of Nineveh. You don't eat anything. You could either do like bread and water, or you could do nothing, or you could be vegan for 3 days. And Bill's family's highly religious. Like his grandfather was a priest.
So they ate nothing.
So my mother-in-law, like, okay, P.S., we're telling her that it's going to be a girl. And my mother-in-law is telling us a story about someone from the village. Well, she fasted for Nineveh, and she made a wish that they would turn her girl into a boy, and it worked.
Oh.
I was like, you want me to starve myself for 3 days when I'm pregnant just so I could have a boy when I already have a boy? I was like, I just don't think it's physically possible. I don't even think I could do it. And plus, it's like, I don't want to deprive my baby of food. You know, when you're pregnant, it's your excuse to eat even more. That's like one of the reasons. So like, my mother-in-law is like really old.
Well,
it's
it's first generation, you know. Yeah.
So I'm really blessed that I got to have one of each, so I can experience one of each.
Then
having said that,
after the girl, you had a
boy.
And then another girl?
So Bill and I are both from 2 boys and 2 girls as far as our siblings. So our dream was to have 2 boys, 2 girls. So I had boy, girl, and then boy, and then another boy.
Right.
And I was like thinking, you know what? My daughter will be the princess. No worries, because we were going to stop at having 4 kids.
Right.
And I remember bringing my 4th child home, Christian, and my daughter Gabriella was hiding under the kitchen table, like just hugging her knees. And I like scoot down under her because, you know, when you talk to children, it's always good to talk to them eye level.
Right.
So I go to her level and I'm like, what's the matter, baby? Why are you sad? She was like, you always bring home boys. And I was like, oh my God.
You were heartbroken.
I'm gonna have a girl just for you. Just for you, I'm gonna have another girl was in my mind. And like little things, like before I had all this that I have, you know, Bill was a resident and we were just going through it. Right. And I had a house where all 3 of my kids shared a room. It was bunk bed, boy and my Gabriella. Right. And then Christian, the baby, was with me in my room. So when I would put the 3 kids to sleep, we always say our prayers before we go to sleep. We say the Lord's Prayer, and then we would go around and just saying what we're grateful for. And as kids, you could tell me what you want.
Right.
So my boys would be like, I want to meet the Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
My other son would be like, I want to go to Disney World.
Right.
And then Gabby would be like, I want a little sister. I was like, Bill, we got to do gender selection because, this time, we can't take any chances. And sure enough, I was already pregnant before I even started that journey.
Yeah. And you had a girl.
And I had a girl. God gave me a girl.
What's her name?
Olivia.
Oh, are they close, the two?
They are. They're all close. They're all 2 years apart, aside from my third and my second one. They're 18 months apart. That was the one I had in Michigan because, I was bored.
So what boy is most like Bill?
None of them.
And what are the girls? Would any of the girls like you?
So my daughter, Gabriella, is most like Bill. And having said that, they're both Geminis.
Yeah.
They're both very dark brown in color. Mm. Like I remember used to going to like Wendy's with my daughter, and like there would be an Indian couple, and they'd have a little girl, and like the little girl and my daughter were the same color, and they'd look at me like, and I'd be like, she looks like her father.
Oh, yeah.
And they would look at me. So she's so much like her dad. And having said that, they're both Geminis. Their birthdays are like 6 days apart.
When's your husband's birthday?
June 2nd. And then my daughter is June 8th.
Danielle is June 19th.
Oh, what is that? Is that on the cusp or is that a Gemini?
No, that's Gemini.
That's Gemini. That's the two personalities you got? Hot and cold? Hot and cold? You're yes, then you're no?
No. Well,
you're in, then you're out?
The nickname for my wife is Salt and Pepper.
Salt and Pepper. All right, that's what I didn't know about.
Yeah, Pepper's a very tough person.
Yeah, she's spicy Pepper, I bet.
Yes, Pepper needs
spicy Pepper.
Needs to tone it down a little bit. Salty is very friendly, happy person.
Nice.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that with Salty, but yes.
Salty is Salty's good.
Salty's good. We like Salty. Yes.
Salty. Sometimes I'm in the mood for Pepper.
Yes. Bill is sometimes I say like Mr. Nice Bill, and then sometimes he's I call him like Negative Bill. And it's funny because his real name is like Nabil.
Yeah.
So like I'll make a joke and I'll be like, stop being such a negative Nabil. Be positive. I like that positive guy, fist pumping. But he's not negative, I should say. Like sometimes when we're going back and forth, I'll say that. But he's a realist.
Yeah.
And obviously he's a scientist. So
that comes along with the profession. Being a realist.
Yes.
I mean, he has to tell people, I had long conversations with your husband about this. I said, do you... you have to, your husband's a plastic surgeon. Yes. Everybody knows that. I said, you have to tell people that they don't qualify for certain surgeries.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. And he goes, it's difficult that, I want to tell people it's not, and it's weird because it's like I'm telling them I don't want your business.
Right.
When I'm really trying to help them. And,
absolutely.
And he goes, and believe me, I don't make any money for that. It takes my time. And he goes, it's hard because people think they look a certain way. Mm-hmm. And some people aren't built for certain plastic surgeries. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Of course. Yeah. And he goes, it's hard to tell people like, look, this is the way you are.
And the realism of that is that not everything is textbook. I mean, these women come in, they think they're going to get a tummy tuck and then look like, I don't know, Cindy Crawford after. And it's not like that. You have to be a good candidate to get a result like that. Meaning like, maybe just wait in special certain places. If you're all around heavy and you need to lose 50 pounds, you may not have the best result. But having said that, you're going to look great in clothes.
Right.
You're going to be more confident in the way that you look in your everyday life. Now, when you're naked, will there be some bumps and scars along the way? Yes. But there are also lasers that you can do to do skin tightening. And with time, I will say my scars have gone away. I mean, my husband, for me, he did my tummy tuck, breast reduction and lift, cut out my love handles, and gave me liposuction in my arms and back. Thanks, Bill.
And would you say your appearance on the show, did that help your husband's business at all?
I mean, it did, but it also didn't, because we do get a lot of hate. And if people are believing I'm a certain way,
right,
they will penalize him for it. And he'll get crank calls on saying like how your wife is so awful. And, you know, it's hard for him because he knows how great I am, and he knows what a special giver I am, and like the compassion, like he's seen it. Sometimes he even tells me, he's like, you know what your problem is, Jen? You think that everyone's going to treat you the way that you treat them. And that's where you get disappointed. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I thought it said that in the Bible. My bad. Yeah. You know, but I like living my life that way. So when he tells me something like that and he goes, it's your fault, right. I'm like, I'd rather be the better person at first and get burned at least once for me to learn my lesson. So I have an excuse not to have you in my life anymore, because I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Right. There have been people that I've let into my life very easily because I'm not guarded. I grew up guarded. I grew up not being able to say anything to anybody, and I hated it. I was like, what's the matter with like being transparent? You know how many people you can help? You know how many people you could teach? You know how many sometimes people need that? People need you to be open and honest because they're so concerned with like the way that they think people look at them. Dude, how do you look at you? Yeah. How do you look at you? Because therein lies the problem. Because if you look at you great, it don't matter how the fuck people look at you. Yeah. So let them say I'm the worst housewife. Let them say I'm terrible, I'm awful. Right. You know, God's got my battles.
Well, your husband is a gentleman first.
He is. One thing I love about my husband and mine's relationship is that we're both able to be the people who we are without altering for anybody, let alone one of each other, which I think is the best part of marriage. Like if he wants to be in another room and watch TV, and I want to be in the room with my dog, you know, watching some trash TV, like I'm going to do that. We don't always have to be together. You know, we're married 23 years, dude. 5 kids later. Yeah, well, you know, we're not going anywhere.
Together, which raises a good question, which I'm dying to know the answer to. I know what my wife watches, but what does a Real Housewife watch on? What's your TV?
So I definitely always watched Housewives when I was a housewife. And I mean like barefoot and pregnant, in the thick of it, not going anywhere, putting my kids to sleep in my bed with me while watching Housewives on a very low volume. Right. You know, and it was funny because I think I was in Michigan when I first discovered it. Bill did a 2-year fellowship at Beaumont Hospital, and we had to move to Michigan. And I had 2 kids, and I was bored, had no friends. No husband because he worked all the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm having another baby.
That's a great idea. I don't know how you came up with that answer.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I like, you know, I don't want my husband to think I'm unproductive or anything. You know, I don't want to smell resentment. We're going to keep this thing going. And I always wanted a big family. And I'm a big believer. If you want a big family, start young. Don't believe all that. I have to travel now. You could do. You got plenty of time for that. The eggs are ticking, peeps. Okay? And the younger you have kids, the younger parent that you are. My oldest is 21. Like, we go to clubs together. We high five together. I show him Big Willie style, what we used to say back in the day. You know, you were a Big Willie if you went and got VIP and bottles. I mean, I couldn't afford that back in the day. If I didn't get him for free somewhere, I didn't go. Yeah. Or I'd hustle someone to pay for me. That was always fun. But mind you, like, I love that I'm a young mom and I did that. So I feel if you want to have a big family, do it back to back. You're already in the zone. I never get those parents that like have a kid, wait 5 years. You're potty trained. You've given away all your baby stuff because you didn't want it to have clutter. And now you're doing it all over again after you've already relaxed. Oh, that's not smart. Not smart. You're already in the zone. You're already waking up. Wake up, you know, you're feeding babies. You know how I used to feed? I had 5. It was like 5, 3, and 1. And like my 3 and my 1-year-old, I'd make them, it's like this Turkish dish like dolma. It's like grape leaves with meat in it. Not the Greek kind, but the one with the meat in it. And I'd mush it up, and with one spoon, I would feed them. I don't care about germs. My husband's a doctor. He would tell you, you know how many germs? It's really, really not, I mean, okay, there are some germs. Just don't get mad at me. Meaning, for the grand scheme of things, if like you touch a garbage can and then you eat a sandwich, chances are highly likely nothing's going to happen to you. We are all like I think programmed to endure a little bit of germs. It keeps our immune system strong, I feel. I'm not telling you to go lick someone with COVID now.
No, but
don't lick someone with COVID.
No,
but like,
you bring up a good point.
So I would feed them. My mother-in-law would be like, give them different spoons. Now, if they were sick, okay. But it's like, I would say the same germs. My mother always told me it was the same germs.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I had a friend that was a germaphobe, but he would kiss his dog. And I'm like,
that's an oxymoron if I ever heard I want to kiss a dog.
Well, you know, some people, you know,
I mean, yeah, but they lick their butts, Johnny.
I understand that. I don't for that one of those. That's one of the reasons why I don't do it. But I'm just saying that
and
some
those
people,
germs I would be concerned about.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more.
I don't know about the licking because, you know, just now that I think of it, Dolores, who loves dogs, you know, Dolores Catania from the show, and she has so many dogs, and she'll tell me, like, she licks her dogs, and she's like, you know, their mouth is cleaner than, I don't know what she said, but it was definitely something surprising. So
I think they recently disproved that.
I don't know if, like, maybe their cells rejuvenate and, like, kill germs the minute they lick E. coli.
No, it's not.
No?
No, I read something recently. I didn't really pay attention to it, but I read the headline, and they were talking about how people used to say a dog's mouth is cleaner than a human's. And
that's what I mean. So there's that out there.
Yeah, apparently that's not true.
Maybe he thought licking the dog would make him cleaner.
I have no. The only thing I want to end I just want to end the conversation is he's still single.
Oh, okay.
So
explains a lot. Yes.
It explains a lot.
It explains a lot.
Yeah.
How you doing so far? You doing good?
Good. Did you get all that good stuff? Huh? All that good, juicy stuff?
We're making Danielle laugh.
Yeah.
I feel like that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I think it's a plus if we're making you laugh.
When do we start shooting?
Right? We've been shooting.
See if we can get something out of that.
Probably the question about what she watches is probably usable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I watch Housewives.
Which you never answered.
Oh, that's right, dude. I digress. Okay, so like...
I love you.
Yo, so I watched
Let me tell you
Housewives, and I said, they get paid for this? I watched Teresa. I was yelling at people being herself. I said, I do this every day. They get paid for that? I get paid to be me. Because I always thought I would be an actress when I was growing up.
Yeah?
But my mom,
did you?
Yeah.
Who did you look up to as a role model? Like you thought?
So look, we didn't really have cable TV.
Right.
I watched whatever my parents watched. Like I grew up watching like Dynasty.
Okay.
I would see Alexis Carrington.
Yeah, sure.
And I just thought like she was the Mecca, you know. I watched Mommy Dearest a lot. Like whatever was on TV that would like rerun on a like regular basis. Those shows. You ever go to like those shows? Those were the movies that I watched because those were the only movies that I was exposed to as a kid. So like, and when I thought about acting, I don't know now. In hindsight, I feel like I more wanted to like entertain people.
Right. And
back then, I felt the only outlet was acting. There was no reality TV or like going on podcasts or like let me be TikTok famous back then. So the only avenue I thought was like acting. So because I was always like a little performer or whatever, which my mom sometimes would like smack me and be like, snap out of it. Stop acting spoiled. You're acting spoiled. You're never going to get married if you act spoiled. So
is that a Turkish thing?
It's a Turkish thing.
Armenian thing?
So like, so I used to, so when I was in high school, I was babysitting for this little girl, like mother's helper. I was like 16 years old. And the mother worked inside the home, like I was mother's helper while she worked at this modeling agency called Chickies Kids. It's not in business anymore. And she would book clients for commercials and stuff.
Right.
And I was like her babysitter. So I was like always like waiting, like really thirsty and like kissing her ass. Like maybe one day she'd offer me like an audition somewhere.
Right.
So she offers me an audition. I go to my mom. I beg her. I fucking beg her. I'm like, please. My mom says, she said no to everything.
Right.
I think that's why I say yes to everything. I think I was traumatized, but like she said no to everything. Like everything was a no. I even know it was a no. But this one, sometimes I didn't want to take the no.
Right.
And I was persistent, to say the least.
And you got it?
So I made her take me.
Right.
And then when I got a call back, she freaked out. She thought like this was going to lead to some big successful career. And she was like, if you become actress, you will be whore and no one will marry you. Is that what you want?
Well.
And you know,
that's
there was validity to what she was saying. Not that it was such an absolute, but I was cognizant as I was getting older that people that had that celebrity life, it was really hard for them to commit to one person and be in a monogamous relationship when you're constantly exposed to temptation.
Well, not only that, and this goes for everybody, and this is something I experienced myself. Early success is not necessarily good fortune. when you're younger.
I agree.
Because and when I was on the radio station, I got to interview, I interviewed Britney Spears from the time she was 16 to like the 22 every year, a couple of times a year. And Justin Timberlake and this and that. And people would constantly ask me, what were they like? And I said, well, what were you like when you were 18? And they just stopped. And I said, okay, now I want you to factor in millions of dollars, all the adulation that you could possibly get, and nobody says no to you. I said, what do you think happens?
Oh my God, that's never happened to me.
No, but I'm just saying, because people were so quick, and still today, to kick these kids when they make a mistake.
Absolutely.
And I would tell people, I said, look, I thought Britney Spears was really, really nice, and she was very, very sweet. She didn't have a chance to get the type of education that the other kids had, and so on and so forth. You get put into the music business, and then there's a whole part of your life that's put on hold, and so on and so forth. But they're still kids.
Yeah.
And nobody allowed them to make mistakes, and any mistakes they made were in the public. And I would have to explain that to people. I said, what teenager doesn't make mistakes?
And if you think about how Britney Spears suffered, and back then we didn't even have social media. The noise against her was so loud that it was all over. I mean, I feel like she couldn't. I read her book. I don't know if you read her book.
No, I did not.
It was sad. There's a lot of sadness, things you don't realize. There was one, I think it was an award show that she had a performance in that was went down in history as her worst. I don't know if you remember that. People saw her hair extensions and her makeup was, and at the time she was dealing with her breakup with Justin Timberlake. And here he is looking fabulous with, black eyed peas.
Right.
Being the fucking Mac Daddy. And here she is being told to perform and being, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. So I knew the validity in what my mother was saying in that. So I just decided to go to Hofstra University for business marketing, because I was thinking how can I channel my talents, which at the time was sales, because I grew up in the jewelry business.
Right.
I'm from Long Island.
Yeah,
I've told you that.
Yeah.
My dad had a booth. My dad and my brother had craft jewelry. Shout out to Tri-County Flea Market. May she rest in peace. Now is known as Unique. All right, that's one word to put it. Unique. It's called Unique now. But back in the day, that's where everybody went for their jewelry, or either Busy Bee Mall, which is also no longer. And so I went into sales, and then I went into marketing because I thought marketing would channel my talents. But in hindsight, if I had to do it over again, I would definitely go more into journalism, because I feel like writing and creativity is more of a, outflow of
for you.
It's like therapy. I've been writing down. Sometimes I get these thoughts, and I'm taking everything down in my notes or writing in a journal, and I go back and read it, and it's so funny, and I'm a storyteller at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, you're it's obvious that you're extremely verbal.
Sorry.
I mean, no, I don't apologize.
I'm long-winded, but
how did that?
I feel like people keep interested.
No, but how did that affect you? That you're so talkative in your culture. I mean, was that counterculture?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would imagine, because my mother was Eastern European. And one of the things, my father was Sicilian, my mother was Polish. And one of the things, the Sicilians were so touchy-feely, and the Eastern Europeans were not. And if something happened on in the Italian side, they would argue and talk about it. And if something happened on the Eastern European side, they would pretend it never happened. You know what I mean? And that was a culture thing from coming from Poland with the war and all that stuff. My grandfather was in the Polish army.
Wow.
Yeah, during World War II. And my grandmother was a farmer. And my father's, family was just
in Poland.
Well, my father's family was from Italy.
Sicilian. No, I'm saying your mother's. They had the farm. That was all in Poland.
First generation.
Okay.
And the way they handled things were so different. And we thought, because we were raised in the Bronx in the Italian section, with all my father's family living in the same building. So me and my brother would, we would think that, my mother's side was just different. You know what I mean? Like we had such a different. They were beautiful. Polish people are just beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so nice and warm.
They're pretty good looking too. Have
Yes.
you seen their models?
Yeah.
I don't hire Polish nannies, peeps.
But they had that whole Eastern European thing, and I got the best of both worlds, is what I'm trying to say.
So for me too.
Yeah.
My parents they were born in Turkey. They got married in Turkey, in the villages of Turkey, because back then the villages were basically a Christian faith.
Right.
And Turkey is a predominantly Muslim country.
Yes.
Everything else is a minority. So at the time in the villages, you were allowed to marry somebody else as long as it was the same religion. Have that be Catholic or Orthodox, which we were. I think those were the two main ones. My mother was Armenian Catholic, and then my father was Syrian Orthodox. But in our culture, when you marry the man, the woman has to follow the man's culture. So my mom follows my father's Syrian Orthodox culture and religion, but she's Armenian Catholic. And you know what? I think I love my Armenian roots. But even growing up with all of that, with the jewelry store, it was in our immigrant mindset to always have to go to work with the family,
right.
and also not expose too much to the community. So to your sentiment there, we were gatekeepers. Yeah. And the thing is, I was a little chatterbox,
That's what I'm saying.
Because I'm going to tell you why. Because when I would be 12, 13 years old at the jewelry store, and if my dad was with a customer and there was another customer there, he'd be like, go make sales. Go make sales. And I'd be like, and I was never really shy, but of course a kid approaching to an adult is intimidating.
Right.
But I would be forced to go to the adult and kind of just try to make them hang out until somebody could tend to them. So I almost learned the art of talking a lot and keeping the conversation going if I need be.
But that's great.
I think it's a gift. I think it's a talent.
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, you could keep scrolling if you don't like it. That's the beauty of a free country. But no, growing up in a gatekeeper family where you didn't tell people where you got the dress, getting on the show was a huge obstacle for my mother.
I could imagine.
For my mother. Oh my God. She was like, she loved the idea of me being on a show, but she didn't realize that I was going to be. She should have known in hindsight.
I don't think so.
That I was. She didn't think I'd be so honest. But the thing is, I think that's what's TV gold. The best TV gold are the real moments, not what you think someone wants to see. So someone will ask me sometimes, what do you think makes a great housewife? I'm like, okay, you being who you are. And if that's not entertaining enough to stay on this platform, that's okay. There's something for everybody out there. Not everybody is going to be good at being themselves when the cameras are rolling and when they're not. It's the same person. And I think that's TV gold.
Well, what's interesting is when you look at the big picture, I always think about this too, about the whole world. Everybody, and there's billions of people, and everybody at the same time is experiencing a different reality.
Everybody.
You know what I mean? So which raises the question, what is reality? It's what it is to you, you know what I mean? And it's like why people watch the show and they can't get enough of it, and other people think it's they don't like it. They don't take to it. It's because it's not their reality or whatever it may be. But
then when you watch someone else's reality, you could maybe sometimes live vicariously through that life. And then it's fun. It's entertaining.
It's entertainment.
Yeah. So in hindsight, I know now that I just always wanted to entertain.
Right.
And then when I was literally barefoot and pregnant in Michigan, I was like, people get paid for that. I can do that. And then when we moved to Jersey, I kind of manifested it because Housewives was what I was watching as a housewife. Now, right now, the only Housewives that I'm watching that I would say is the closest thing to consistency is Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Right.
I like the characters. I love, what I love about Housewives, or what I would say I loved, past tense, is I loved when Housewives first came on, it was all about the ambiance of these elites, very prestigious, living this fantastic life. And for me, when I would see those fancy parties, I would never hate on it.
Right.
I was just oh my God, who's your party planner?
Right.
And I would see these comments. It's you're showing off, you're bragging. And it's isn't that why we're watching this? You want to watch Hoarders, you can go watch that. That's okay. We're watching this because we want to feel a vibe. And And somewhere along the line, I feel like Housewives changed. I feel like they weren't looking, not that you should look for somebody that has money per se, but at least have a lifestyle that people could aspire to have. And that may not be in a beautiful, luxurious house. That could be in like in a nice apartment or something, but like you doing things out of the ordinary. Now it's all about like fighting, picking fights, one going lower behind the belt, like under the belts, then you do it, then you get penalized for it. And like the minute you do something, you're canceled.
Right.
It's like, dude, like this was supposed to be fun.
I don't think I could do that. I don't think I mean, obviously I put myself out there as a radio host and a comedian, and you get to see a decent glimpse of my life. But I don't know if I could do a show like that. What was interesting about the radio is that people would listen to the radio show, and it's 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year.
And you thought I talked a lot? Hey.
Yeah. Well, what happens is nobody sees a radio personality as a celebrity because they know my mother's name.
There's a few exceptions to that rule.
But what
yes,
I'm saying.
Of
They knew my mother's name. They knew the color of my car. They knew where I lived. They knew my favorite food.
Did that bother you?
No, not at all, because I put it out there.
Sure.
But a real celebrity, like let's say you love Sean Penn, all right? How many times did you see Sean Penn in a year? 2, 3 in a movie, maybe, and he's reading somebody else's lines. So a radio person, you had developed this friendship with people. You know what I mean? Like this, they see you as
like the jewelry business.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So in your particular thing with the Housewives, my observation from being around you and a little time I spent around Teresa and a couple other guys, I think the way the show is edited is a disservice to who you girls are.
Completely valid.
Yeah, I
Completely valid.
I think that there's a lot of good, and there's a lot of
good doesn't sell though.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Isn't that horrible?
It's weird. It's horrible. And what I will say to that, you're absolutely right. And you're saying you wouldn't be able to do that. Well, listen, different strokes for different folks, right? So everybody's got their thing. There could be a job that maybe I could do it. People ask me all the time, like, how do you deal with the comments?
Yeah.
I'm like, the comments are somebody's opinion.
Right.
How I deal with it is my opinion of myself is very high.
Right.
I'm not going to let someone who doesn't know me tell me I'm a terrible person. Okay, if that's what you think. You're entitled to an opinion.
Right.
I respect that. I'm glad I don't know you. You won't be coming over to a dinner party anytime soon. No. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I have self-love.
Right.
And that's not to say I'm arrogant or cocky. I do things for people that like I don't even have to talk about because God sees.
Right.
God sees.
I agree with that.
He's the only person, he's the only thing that I need to impress in this life. He sees all. So I have like a love-hate relationship with TikTok. It was my New Year's resolution to try to get on TikTok this year, but it's just so terrible. Like the minute I put anything on, the amount of negative comments, and it's like almost I get to a point where it's like, why do I need to show you parts of my fabulous life, dude?
Right.
Like I'm showing because like, yes, I'm happy, but like, I know that there are people who look forward to seeing that because not everybody is a hater.
Right.
The problem with that is, the trolls are always louder than the nice comments, right? Most people don't write nice comments, but people who are angry, they will go out of their way to write hateful comments. And the thing is, I do get a lot of love. Don't get me wrong. People are like, but like my mother, like who gets obsessed in the comments, which I tell her, like, don't get obsessed in the comments. She's like, did you see this on YouTube? They like you very much. Did you see? I'm like, Mom,
That is great.
I didn't see. I love it that you found someone that loves me.
Right.
But truth be told, like a lot of people love me. Look at this beautiful life we've created, Mom.
Yeah.
Anyone with a phone could go on and make a YouTube video. And as much as I appreciate the love, there's a lot of hate.
Yeah.
A lot of hate on Housewives. I mean, your wife looked like shocked to shit when she was looking at me at my fucking dinner. And I was like thinking like, oh, she's so pretty. And then I was like, wait, she's looking at me and she's just like, you're nothing like what they put on that show.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
No, you're not.
And I looked at her and I said, thank you for that. And I'm glad you got to see the real me.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
And that was really my point.
Yeah.
Of the thing.
But divine timing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not, hey, look, it's not my show.
Yeah.
I mean, but I would definitely, if I had to give any advice to Andy Cohen, I would just pull it back a little bit. I don't think
he likes me very much.
I think,
every time he has an opportunity to say anything negative about me, he does, which is unfortunate, but it's fine. So
yeah, I think the show, I think, for lack of better words, I think the show kind of crossed the line as far as the arguing and the hatred. And I think a lot of girls on all the shows, right, picked up on the fact that you can gain popularity on the attack. So I'm embarrassed that I know so much about these shows, but
there is a coffee mug that says "Real Men Watch Bravo."
But I share my wife's shows and she shares my shows.
Oh,
and that's the only way.
I love that.
So what happens is that it seems I'm watching every show and it looks like there's a formula, and I tell my wife, and my wife just looks at me. I said, "All right, you see that girl? This is the girl they're after this year." And all the girls gang up on this one girl.
That was my first year.
Yeah. And I said, she's gone. They're going to do everything they can to get rid of her. And every show has that girl. And it seems to be, who is it this season?
Johnny, that is such a true statement that I just want to tell you that my very first season, not only did everybody gang up on me, but even the other new girl ganged up on me.
Yeah,
okay, that's how much I was ganged up on. The new girl who was new with me also decided to join that bandwagon. So I get it, but
it's like you've seen the movie Mean Girls.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's like an adult version of Mean Girls.
I feel like, and this may sound crazy, I don't even know if I should say this because this has been my little secret. Like, I really have this secret on how I go through this life, and I don't know how long I've had it, but it's been here for a while. I just picture myself walking around with like this clear bubble around me that's like covered in glitter and diamonds. And that bubble is Jesus's protection on me. And wherever I go, no matter how much people want to be mean to me or not like me, this shield for me gives me validation that, you know what? He'll fight my battles.
Right.
Just keep my path smooth, straight, and clear, and we good.
Well, my mother always used to say to me, I used to say, I want to do this, and I want to do this, or I'm going to do this. And my mother would say, Johnny boy, don't worry about it. If God wants you to have something, nobody could take it away from you.
I believe that.
And I always subscribe to that. And I really feel like me personally, my career, there's 3 ways you could be successful. Number 1 is design. Number 2 is destiny. And number 3 is a combination of both. I'm all destiny.
Yeah.
I was never smart enough to, I'm like God's kid. God was very good to me. I never wanted to be a comedian. I never wanted to be on the radio. Those are gifts that just fell into my lap, and I was able to, make it work. But
that's kismet.
Yeah,
Kismet.
yes.
Do you know what kismet means?
No.
So it's actually a Turkish word. It means destiny.
Right.
And I wouldn't theoretically say it when I'm doing a podcast with somebody who doesn't speak Turkish. But are you a Taylor Swift fan?
Am I what?
Taylor Swift fan.
I don't know one Taylor Swift, but I'm a Kansas City Chief fan. So
all right, so we like Taylor. We'll take it wherever we can get it. Anyway, so in one of her new songs, "The Life of a Showgirl" from her newest album, she says it's kismet about her life as a showgirl.
Right.
And oh my God, like I felt so cool when I heard. I was like, was that a Turkish word? Taylor Swift used a Turkish word
and
in
it
one of her
means
songs,
destiny.
and it means destiny.
Right.
And for you, I love it that it means destiny. Like that's kismet.
Yeah, I just
kismet.
I've been very blessed, and I'm very grateful. And things have worked out for me. I mean, I've had my struggles. Like anybody else, I had my struggles with myself, and I had my struggles with, outside sources. But those are the things that build character. You know, they make you who you are. You know, anybody in life who hasn't been bruised, to me, is boring.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen, brother. Give us a high five.
Yeah. You need to get banged up in a little bit of life, you know, in order to have character.
Yes.
And I had that part, and it builds personality, and it shows in my act, you know, when I perform.
So that leads me to a question.